For the first time since 2016, we have got a Game 7 in the NBA Finals.
Championship rings. Starring
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. They won the championship ring.
I am loving this feud. Don't you dare shit on this. Don't you dare.
I'm going to shit on the stipulation of it.
Oh my God, the stipulation is fantastic. Brandon,
Oh,
I think
yeah.
that might have been the single best weekend of NFL football I have ever seen. We had crazy comebacks. Every prime time was fantastic. And on top of that, the 1972 Miami Dolphins can pop the champagne because there are 0 undefeated teams left, thanks to the New England Patriots, who went into Buffalo and beat the Buffalo Bills 23-20. And, what was that other team? Oh, yeah, the Denver Broncos, who came into Lincoln Financial Field and beat your Philadelphia Eagles. But here's my thing. Why is it that ever since that game, all the national media has been talking about is, what's wrong with the Eagles? Are they having offensive issues? All this and that. I haven't heard a lot of people giving the Denver Broncos credit. Like, Philadelphia is not an easy place to go into and win. The Eagles are one of the most dominant teams in the NFL over the last couple years. They've been in 2 Super Bowls to show for it, having won 1. Why is it that everybody's like, what's wrong with Jalen Hurts? Why can't he and A.J. Brown get on the same page? All this and that. Why isn't anybody giving Denver their credit?
I think it was mostly because of the flow of the game, and I know you were probably a little bit disappointed that you had to work the Cavs preseason game on Tuesday, that we couldn't do a show on Tuesday, because it would be a little bit more fresh, and you could read me even more so that my Philadelphia Eagles are no longer undefeated. But, my takeaway from this game was, yeah, Jalen says, got my wisdom teeth today, boys. Best form of entertainment is on now. What's the comment, Jalen? Thank you very much. I think, Josh, to your point, it was the fact that through 3 quarters, the Eagles were, I don't want to say dominating the game because it was only 17-3, but as a fan, it felt over. This was a game the Eagles typically don't lose, where it's like, oh, yeah, Denver's got 3 points. Bo Nix has missed a couple throws that could have went for touchdowns. He doesn't have it today. And no matter if our offense is struggling in the second half or not, we're just going to cruise to victory. And then, to your point, they go back-to-back touchdown drives. Sean Payton ends up going for 2, which I couldn't believe he did it at the time, and I still can't believe he did it now.
Wait a minute. This is the same coach who came out in the second half of a Super Bowl and did the onside kick. And you're telling me you couldn't believe he went for 2?
Not in that spot when you're on the road. If it was to completely win the game outright, like if there was no time on the clock, absolutely, I think you do it. Now with, 8 or 9 minutes left in the football game, no, I did not think he was going to go for 2. I thought maybe he was going to try to get him off sides and maybe you move to the 1-yard line and then go for 2. I didn't expect him to run the play, and neither did Romo, by the way, who couldn't believe the play call. It was a perfectly executed play. And from that moment on, Denver had control of the game, yet arguably it came down to the Broncos defense making a play or a not play on 2 controversial-esque calls late in the game that both went Denver's way. And I'm not saying that's why the Eagles lost the game, but what I am saying is that's what it takes to beat these Eagles team. Is the Eagles have to self-inflict themselves. They have to commit bad penalties. They have to go 3 and out and have their offensive drives, because it's really hard to beat a team with that much talent.
And they had to only give Saquon Barkley 6 carries?
Well, you know what? I'm glad you brought that up, because everybody is saying, how can you not give Saquon Barkley 6 carries? Well, I'll tell you how, Josh, because I think this is the most underlying stat of the entire 2025 NFL season. Do you want to guess what the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line is ranked this season by Pro Football Focus?
Probably like 24th.
They're ranked 15th. So an offensive line that was dominant last season, throughout the whole season, is now middle of the pack. And teams are rotating safeties late, very early on in the game, right? Denver played a lot of man coverage. Jalen Hurts was able to get the ball to Saquon Barkley, Devontae Smith. Later in the game, Vance Joseph did a changeup to where they would show a man look. Post snap, they would drop into zone coverage, and it would lead to a lot of confusion in the run game and the pass game. They're not giving Saquon Barkley the ball because every first down they try to run the football. Saquon is getting tackled in the backfield. It's 2nd and 14, and now you have to throw the ball.
Yeah, the Eagles have to be, I said this last week when they were still undefeated. For me, they are one of, if not the most confusing and confounding teams this season because, like, they haven't been able to put together a complete game yet. They've been able to have these great halves, like the second half against the Rams. I would say the first half against the Buccaneers, not so much the second half.
I would even say the first half against Dallas, right? They go flawless. They go 3 for 3 in touchdowns before the lightning delay.
Okay, that's fair. But, like, you know, we criticize them for throwing the ball too much. And then they run the ball to oblivion, and you got everything with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. And then this time, they throw the ball too much, and all the
and you're criticized for them not giving Saquon Barkley. So again, I get it. This is what Kevin Patullo is going to have to go to. Now, as I keep stressing, I know it's not the same, but last year, this team did not take off until when? Week 7 on the road at the New York Giants. Who do they play tonight? Week 6, short week, Thursday Night Football. There was a lot of drama out there with this football team from the reports that A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley had a 2-hour meeting on Monday.
I think Jalen was part of that also.
And Jalen Hurts as well. So, you know, we'll see. I do expect my team to come out and win the game tonight. I hope we win by more than a touchdown. I hope this game is not down in the fourth quarter because one of the things about having Jalen Hurts on this team, I don't think the noise bothers Jalen Hurts. I don't think he's affected by it. And I don't see a 2023-esque collapse yet because of one reason. It's not even because of the offense. It's because I do believe that with Vic Fangio being the coordinator on the defense, they're not going to be as bad as they were 2 years ago when they could not stop a nosebleed during that historic natural funk collapse.
But again, to go back to Denver, yes, Bo Nix is not as consistent as we'd like him to be, but like he made that throw to Cortland Sutton late in the game when he absolutely
and Sutton, you know, Mars Quinyon Mitchell, and he was out of his mind. Here's the one thing about Denver. Do you know what Sean Payton did when the game ended?
He threw like a whole rager.
They took the bus that the team was on, and they were playing Meek Mill, who's a famous rap artist, obviously. He's done a lot of songs for the Eagles, and they were blasting it while they were driving down Lincoln Financial Field. That's why people aren't talking about Denver, because they're talking about that, because Sean Payton is trying to make a statement win. And all of a sudden, Denver went from, could they be third in the division? Chargers are 3-0. Denver's 0-1 in the division, to the Chargers lose 2 in a row. Kansas City lost. Denver won, and guess who's tied for first place in the division?
I told you Denver was going to win this division. I predicted it.
And you did. And a couple of weeks ago, I didn't think there was a chance. And all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, here they are tied for first place.
I know. This is Denver. Like, Nick Bonito put on a fantastic performance. He is going to quickly become a household name with the way he's playing defensively. I would like them to have somebody opposite Cortland Sutton. I like Marvin Mims, but I wouldn't say he's the 1B to Cortland Sutton's 1A, because it does seem like Cortland Sutton has emerged as the 1A that the Broncos have been waiting for. So that is a flaw.
And Evan Ingram also scored a touchdown, and they're getting Dobbins and RJ Harvey back in the fold.
Yes. And their schedule is not that difficult coming up.
Well, I'll say with this weekend, I am picking them to beat the Jets, but be careful with this game. It's a London game, and we know weird things happen in London.
Yeah. Like they've got the Jets this week, then they host the Giants, then they host the Cowboys. That could be a really good game. They're at the Texans, and then they host the Raiders before hosting the Chiefs. That's
easily. I'm not saying they're going to go 5-0, but 4-1 is on the table.
Yeah, and I think their bye week is after that Chiefs game and prior to their trip to the nation's capital to play the Commanders.
All right, well, speaking of games in London, we got to wake up at 9:30 in the morning on Sunday morning, get to watch a 6-foot-tall shrimp play quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. And he is now officially QB1 in Cleveland because Joe Flacco is on his way to Cincinnati to
Don't
start
let the
the
door hit you
Cincinnati
on the
Bengals.
way out, Joe Flacco. Bye. Won't miss you.
So, Josh, you're the Browns fan here. You already know how I feel about Dylan Gabriel, but how'd you think his first start went?
I thought it went well. It seemed like like I've been saying, he was more willing to throw the deep ball. It wasn't all short and intermediate routes. You know, they didn't take a lot of risk. It was a lot of run the ball. But overall, if I had to give his first game a grade, I'd give it like a solid B+. I didn't think it was overly impressive, but I certainly didn't think it was terrible. You know?
Oh, I think you're being way too nice. I think this is an average quarterback game. I think this is a C. I don't think Dylan Gabriel's anything special. I think this is a waste of time. He is Tua Tagovailoa and brown and orange. That's what he is. He's not going to be good in cold weather. He has the same stature, same throwing delivery, same pretty much everything. He's going to be really accurate. He's going to get the ball out on time. But when you put pressure on him, the way Minnesota started doing in the second half, which going into the second half, Minnesota didn't even know if they were going to have Carson Wentz on the field, and they still won that game.
Yes,
so how is this a successful trip for the Browns? And
yes,
by the way,
there were some coaching blunders by Kevin Stefanski.
Thank you. They just traded away Greg Newsome, so this team is tanking.
Yeah. And we don't even know for sure if Shador is going to be the second string. There's a chance.
That's the biggest thing. To me, I'm going to say this. And, you know, we both have really been Shador Sanders defenders, but I have been the one pounding the table since they drafted him in that late day in April when the Cavaliers were beating the Heat by 30 down in Miami, that Shador Sanders should be the week one starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns.
No, I was saying that about Dylan Gabriel, not Shador.
But I was saying that about Shador. And I still believe that. And to me, he's the best quarterback on the team, and he's getting basically blackballed. And Dylan Gabriel is a waste of time. I'm sorry to tell you this, Josh. You probably already know this. I hate to tell you this, but you are going to get your ass destroyed Sunday by Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Do you really think Dylan Gabriel, with his short little stature, is going to be able to see over TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Cam Hayward? Do you really think Mike Tomlin's going to let that guy beat him? Absolutely not.
No. It will be funny to see him go against Tua next week. But honestly, looking at the Browns' schedule, after this game against Pittsburgh, it's not that daunting. Like, you have the Dolphins. That's a winnable game. You're at the Patriots. I think New England will win that game. But then you're at the Jets following the bye week. I think we can win that game, even though it's in New Jersey. If Baltimore continues to be as banged up as they are, I think we could win that game. At the Raiders, I would say we can win that game. Home against the 49ers, I'm going to say that's a loss. Tennessee at home, we can win that game. At Chicago, I like the way Caleb Williams is playing, and it seems like him and Ben Johnson are getting on the same page, so I will say that's a loss. Home against Buffalo, it's Josh Allen. I don't see us beating the Bills. We usually split with the Steelers, so I think we can win at home against Pittsburgh. And at Cincinnati to close it out, why not? So I think there are some.
I'm telling you right now, there's no way they win more than 3 games.
I
will send a Dr. Pepper over to your house if they win 4 games. There is, and by the way, that counts the one they already have. So if they go 5-12 or better, I'll send you one because I don't see it. I get what you're saying with the schedule, but this team's a complete lost cause. And I'm
not saying they're going to get back into the playoffs.
They're paying 8 quarterbacks. Do you know they're paying 8? Do you know how embarrassing that is? And the even more embarrassing thing is, well, we don't know anything about Shedeur Sanders, but guess what, guys? Deshaun Watson may be back.
Oh, God.
Boycott the team. I'm sorry. I feel bad for Dylan Gabriel. Maybe he'll be good somewhere else. I don't want the kid to be a bust. I really don't. But I'm sorry. I think this is a complete and abject and utter failure and a disaster, and they need to get every single person in that building out of there. New general manager, new head coach. There is a guy right now in North Carolina who's trying to get himself out. Pay him everything. Go get Belichick and bring him back here. You got
Lord.
nothing to lose, man.
Oh, Lord. I've heard all the noise about fire Kevin Stefanski. No, I am not jumping on that train. I will continue to be a Kevin Stefanski defender.
As I said, so Josh, again, if you go 6-28, that'd be 3-14 in back-to-back seasons. You're not going to fire the coach?
Nope.
Okay.
Here's what I would do. And I would have done this last season and instead of paying him $40 million. Trade Myles Garrett. He is quickly becoming the defensive version of Joe Thomas for the Cleveland Browns. Now, I get it. Joe Thomas went on to become one of the greatest offensive linemen in NFL history. Again, I said one of, not the absolute.
Oh, he's top 5, I think, of all time. Absolutely.
Okay, yeah. And one of the greatest left tackles in NFL history. I get it. But when he was in Cleveland, did Joe Thomas ever make the playoffs? No. He went through countless head coaches, countless starting quarterbacks. Good God. Jake Delhomme, Seneca Wallace, Charlie Fry, Brandon Weeden, Robert Griffin III, I think, was here. Deshaun Kaiser, Colt McCoy, Brady Quinn, Fab Lewis. I could keep going.
Derek Anderson, keep naming them.
Yes, Derek Anderson. But when you look at Myles Garrett, it's been the same thing. Oh, and I didn't even mention all the head coaches Joe Thomas had. Eric Mangini, Pat Shurmur, Romeo Crennel,
Penn, Hughes.
Yes. You get, okay. But then when you flip to Myles Garrett, he's had Freddie Kitchens, Hugh Jackson. Joe Thomas might have even had Hugh Jackson, for God's sake.
Greg Williams as well.
Yes. And Myles Garrett, yes, he hasn't quite had the same level of quarterback turnover, but he's had to deal with quarterback turnover as well. And I feel like we're wasting his prime. You know, like Joe Thomas never got to experience winning season here in Cleveland.
Yeah, he did his rookie year, 10-7.
Okay, once. But he never went to the playoffs. Myles Garrett has at least done that twice.
They still have not won the division in 30 years.
I know, but like, it feels like the Browns are reluctant to surround Myles Garrett with pieces. I get it. You shouldn't necessarily build your team around a defensive player, but look at what the LA Rams did, and they capitalized and got Aaron Donald a ring. They brought in Matt Stafford. They had Cooper Kupp. They brought in Odell Beckham Jr. They made the moves. I'm not saying that the Browns are a championship team. I'm not saying that.
Well, their defense is championship. Well, their offense is nowhere close. That's the problem.
Do you get where I'm going with this, though?
Absolutely.
Okay. So that's my point, that, for example, Philadelphia felt like they had something with Jalen Hurts. So what did you do? You went out, you drafted Devontae, you trade for A.J. Brown, you bring in Saquon, and boom, look at him now. Tampa Bay was just missing a quarterback. They go get the GOAT, and whoa, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, they go and win a freaking Super Bowl. And, they've done that with Baker Mayfield as well. That's my point.
All right. Well, who had the most impressive upset in week 5? Because there was a ton of them. Only 6 teams in the entire NFL covered out of 14 games. I think the answer to this one, though, I know you guys might make a case, and you could definitely say it for Denver, but I think it's a pretty easy case and slim dunk to say New England. And the reason I say that is because they had to go into Buffalo as a division rival on a Sunday night, Drake May's first ever primetime game. This was not a 1 o'clock game. And they went in there, and Buffalo was rolling, and it was a whiteout. It looked like Josh's team, Penn State, who we're going to get to a little bit later in the show. Thanks to you, James Franklin. And so for that, for them to go in there, for them to force a couple fumbles, and after the Ramondre Stevenson fumble, and for Stephon Diggs to pop up out of nowhere and go from a guy that looked washed to a guy that has become almost the number 1 receiver in New England overnight, for Chris Collinsworth to be chuckling over Drake May, the way he was able to stiff arm that defender and throw the ball to Stephon Diggs.
I'm so mad that I have to hear Chris Collinsworth talk about Patrick Mahomes.
To basically end that game, I was not that I didn't think New England could cover, but win flat out, I was so impressed. That was a potential culture-changing win for New England. Well,
I predicted before the start of the season the Patriots would get into the playoffs. And we all thought, well, the Patriots could make some noise. I know you did not have them in the playoffs because
I had them just missing.
Yes. But you and I both felt like the Patriots could make some noise. Like I said, I had them making the playoffs. But now they're in a position to where if Buffalo stumbles again this week against Atlanta, or a couple other times, New England's right there to possibly steal the division. That's
how big that game was. Think about this. If Buffalo wins the game, they go to 5-0. New England drops to 2-3. The division's basically over. Now all of a sudden you're talking Buffalo 4-1, New England 3-2. Oh, and the Patriots have probably the easiest schedule remaining in the NFL. And Buffalo's got to go to Atlanta, who's coming off their bye. And Michael Penix does play well in the dome at home. Oh, and by the way, Buffalo's Achilles heel is they cannot stop the run, which is the Falcons' strength.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how they do against another lefty quarterback. Because remember, they already faced Tua, and they now have to face Penix.
Yeah. I do think, though, while we're talking upsets, I'm going to make this statement. I think last week was such a crazy week. This week it's going to be a complete reversal. I think this week you're going to see teams bounce back. I think you're going to see Buffalo bounce back. I think you're going to see Philly bounce back. I even think if Lamar had a chance to play for Baltimore, I think there would be a chance Baltimore bounces back. Like, I think this is the bounce back week where teams that we think are good that are lost last week, they're not going to lose 2 in a row.
I would agree. But for me, the most impressive, even though they were 3-1 coming into this game, given how Kansas City played the week prior against Baltimore, I know Baltimore is now decimated, but still, it felt like Kansas City had found their groove in that game against the Ravens. And we were like, okay, Jacksonville, you're 3-1, but now you're going up against the 3-time Super Bowl champions, the 3-time Super Bowl MVP. You're on Monday Night Football. We know what happened the last time you played on Monday Night Football at home. You lost to Jake Browning. And so we were like, Jacksonville, are you for real? So for them to win that game after trailing 14-0, because of those factors, I got to say it's the Jaguars.
And the way they did it, right? The pick six, the 21-14 lead. Trevor Lawrence getting stepped out by the right guard. Chris Jones basically staring at him. I don't know if he thought he was down or what happened. Trevor just gets up and he has the right of way. And this is, by the way, is the great thing about the NFL rule, because if this is a college game, he's down. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
In the NFL, he's untouched. You can get up and you can run to the end zone. And once that happened, tell me if you agree with me or this or not, because I thought it was a great win for Jacksonville. But when that happened, my biggest takeaway was, oh, yeah, this is not Kansas City's year. Because there's no way that a Chiefs team that is primed to go to a Super Bowl lets that happen.
Yeah. But it's crazy. Like, every primetime game delivered. You know, you had everything with the 49ers and Rams, where the 49ers kicked the field goal to take the lead in overtime, and the Rams tried to use the same play.
That one too. It feels like forever ago because it was a week ago. So can we talk about that game specifically for 2 seconds?
Yes. I want to bring up this aspect. The Rams used like the same play, that halfback dive, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 times throughout that game. They didn't change it up. I don't get it. Like, Sean McVay is supposed to be like this offensive genius, and yet you're running the same formation, the same play 5 or 6 times. You don't think Robert Saleh and the 49ers defense are going to adjust to that? What are we doing?
You know what I think? Kick the field goal. A tie is better than a loss. I cannot believe the media that's defending him saying, oh, well, it's better to lose the game than tie. No, it's not. Especially when it comes to percentages, when it comes to playoffs and all that in a very tight division. You want to at least make sure in that situation you do not lose the game. I understand San Francisco would have had a chance to drive down and kick a game-winning field goal. I get that. But at that point, the way you have been playing, especially because the Niners have had no pass rush really all night because they're decimated, and the Rams had all the momentum in the second half, the way they were shutting down the Niners offense, you have to kick the field goal there. Why is nobody talking about the fact that they bypassed a field goal?
Yeah. I understand what you're saying, but it's always been Sean McVay's mentality.
But to me, I don't care about analytics there. To me, in that specific situation, there is no argument. You have to kick the field goal.
No, here's my thing. Your argument is totally valid. I don't even disagree with you. But for me, it's like, that's always been I'll say it like this. I agree with everything you're saying. I don't think you're wrong. But that it's always been McVay's mentality to be aggressive like that and
isn't he punted in the Super Bowl? Remember against New England when he had a chance? He's punted in very conservative situations in his career.
Okay, so let me rephrase. for the most part, it's been his mentality to go for it. We've seen the Rams do fake punts with Johnny Hekker in situations. Yes. So while I agree with your statement, it's McVay's mentality, at least for the most part, to go for it in that situation. And then the other team I want to talk about in the NFC West, Sam Darnold, why are you making that throw? You're tied 35-35. What? I get it. Like, look, the ball bounced off a helmet and it landed right in the lap of one of the greatest linebackers, I would say, currently. Surefire Hall of Famer, in my opinion, Levante David. And the Buccaneers win. If you would have told me that Baker Mayfield versus Sam Darnold would be an elite quarterback matchup, I would have laughed at you. Come on. Come on.
Yeah, I think it goes back to this question, though, too. We're talking about both conferences, right? And you look at the NFL, this is the first time in 11 years we have not had a 5-0 team. Obviously, both the Eagles and Bills go down last weekend. And the NFL does feel more open than in years past. I think it does have to do on the AFC side, a lot with injuries. Lamar being injured, Joe Burrow being injured, Kansas City's injuries, a wide receiver. Right now, and again, feel free to argue with me if you want, but I still feel like the favorites in each conference should be the champs and Buffalo. Like, they are, to me, still on a consistent basis, the two best teams in football. And I know some people are going to argue about the Lions. And Jalen, if you're still listening, I mean no disrespect to your Detroit Lions, but I'm going to say this. The Lions got blown out week 1 by the Packers. They got worked on that offensive line. Since that moment, this is who the Lions have beat. The Chicago Bears, who their defense is not good. They should have lost to the Raiders if it wasn't for a block kick. They beat the Ravens, who we know now their defense is the worst in the NFL and absolutely atrocious. The Browns, who are trash, and the Bengals, who just benched Jake Browning for Joe Flacco. So let's be real. How good are the Lions really? I think we'll know Sunday night in Kansas City.
Yeah. This is a really interesting 2-week stretch for the Lions because they're at Kansas City this week on Sunday Night Football. And then they host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Monday Night Football next week. But for me, to answer the question on the screen, no, there's not a clear-cut favorite in either conference right now. Like Buffalo, yes, they were 4-0, but there were times you're like, that doesn't look like the Buffalo Bills we've come to know in the last couple of seasons. There were some games that they could have lost, like that Baltimore game in week 1. They very easily could have lost that game.
Yeah, I mean, that one at the time looked amazing. Now, how good of a win does that look?
Yeah. And like the Eagles could have and should have lost against the Buccaneers and the Rams. You could make an argument they could have lost against Dallas.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying the Eagles should be 0-4 right now.
You could make a case they could be 1-4 or 3-2, which is why they're 4-1.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, no, there's not a clear-cut favorite in either conference right now. To me, there's not a team in either the AFC or the NFC where I'm like, yes, they're the clear-cut favorite. Like, I could look at the Eagles and point out a couple flaws. I feel like you could maybe not quite as much, but you could look at the Lions and find a couple flaws. Tampa Bay has won all their games basically at the last second.
That's the thing. We don't know how good Tampa Bay is. Every game they play is a 3-point game. Besides the Eagles game where they lost by 8. I will say this overall about the week. The NFC at the top for the first time in a long time, is actually deeper than the AFC. Philly, Tampa, Green Bay, Detroit, San Francisco, the Rams, maybe Seattle. That's 7 teams right there. Where in the AFC, I still think it's Buffalo and maybe Kansas City. And like, if Lamar gets back for Baltimore and their defense gets fixed, maybe. But that's it for me. Like, I think Jacksonville and Indianapolis are good teams. They're good stories. They're not, to me, in the class yet of a Buffalo or a Kansas City. I know you think Denver could get there. We'll see by the end of the year. I want to put the Chargers there, but every time I want to believe in the Chargers, they end up losing these clunky games.
And they're getting injured. Like, soon, Justin Herbert's not going to have.
Amari and Hampton's out. Joe Alt is out. Rashawn Slater's out. Mekhi Becton is in and out of the lineup.
Dude,
and
soon Justin Herbert's not going to have an offensive line to stand behind.
I mean, it's amazing, right? Because remember the conversation going into week 4 was they went 3-0 in the division, and they were facing Jackson Dart in his first start. And the conversation was, oh, if the Chargers win this game, they get to 4-0, the division's over.
Yeah, I remember having that conversation with you. You know, like with Jacksonville, for example, they really should be undefeated right now because
they won that weird game to Cincinnati when Browning came in. He threw 3 interceptions, and William Cohen went for it on 4th down.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And the Colts would be undefeated if A.D. Mitchell just holds on to the freaking ball.
Yeah, and DeMarcado did it for Arizona, and somebody else did it this weekend too. Somebody for the Jets did it, right? Somebody else did it.
I don't remember, but I don't. That Titans-Cardinals game was wacko.
Unbelievable. And again, I don't want to be this guy, but DeMarcado should have been cut Monday morning.
Yeah.
I cannot understand for the life of me. You are and I'm sorry, I don't mean to yell. I'm really trying to stay calm, but I'm not yelling at you. I'm yelling at my computer screen, basically.
Dude, I'm surprised you're not wearing all Eagles colors right now since they play in about, what is it, like an hour?
About 2 hours. This is driving me nuts about the NFL. Football is hard, right? You got 53 guys. It's very hard for a guy like DeMarcado to even make the roster. When you have a chance to score a touchdown in the game, get in the end zone and drug the football down when you're clearly in the end zone. Why do they feel the need to have to throw it out of the back of the end zone before they even score? I don't understand if that's your one opportunity in the week to score.
I don't know. But again, like Jacksonville is 4-1, but they should be 5-0. Indianapolis is 4-1, but they should be 5-0. Buffalo is 4-1. We talked about this last week. Do you really trust the Steelers?
Well, that's the thing. Well, their schedule is pretty easy the next couple of weeks, but you can make the other argument on the side of like Arizona could say, boys, we could be 5-0 and we're 2-3.
Yeah, that's exactly why I'm saying I don't think there's a clear-cut favorite, because when I look at these powerhouse teams, I don't feel like there's a team that's really separated themselves from the rest of the pack.
I think we'll get there by about week 8, week 9.
Right. Like when you go back and look at last season, once Philadelphia started to get it rolling, you felt like they were the clear number 1.
I think I told you about like week 13. I think I said, I don't care about the Lions. We're the best team in the NFC.
Yeah. So, and you felt like Kansas City was starting to separate themselves.
Well, you felt like it was them and Buffalo. And maybe some people wanted to argue Baltimore, but that was the top 3.
Right. It doesn't feel that way this season.
Well, how about this? In the AFC, could you imagine a playoff with no Lamar and no Patrick Mahomes? Because that's what it would look like right now.
Wait, do you remember the 2017 season where the NFC Championship was Nick Foles against Oh, who?
Case Keenum, and then it was Blake Bortles in Jacksonville against Brady in New England.
Yes, it feels like it could be one of those seasons where you look at the quarterbacks in the AFC Championship and the NFC Championship, and you're like, huh?
I'll tell you what, though, that Jacksonville team was good. I was a fan of Blake Bortles. I'll be the first to admit it.
Yes, I was a fan of Blake Bortles too. Jacksonville should have been in that Super Bowl, but New England got the benefit of the refs.
See, no kidding. All right, let's get to our top 5 games for Week 6 of the 2025 NFL season. So, Josh, you were getting this list together right before we came on the air tonight, so I'm going to go first on this one, and I'm going to see.
Volunteer. I was basically going to volunteer you to go first anyway.
Okay, so I'm going to go from number 5 to number 1. Spoiler alert, real quick. I do not have tonight's game between my Eagles and the New York Giants on the list. Number 5, we are going to one of the Monday Night Football matchups. This one is down in Atlanta. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Bills at Falcons. The Falcons are coming out their bye. They still actually have a chance to win this NFC South division if they keep winning games. Michael Penix is very good inside of a dome. How will Buffalo react now? Back-to-back primetime games, pretty much being embarrassed in their home stadium on Sunday night against New England. They struggle against the run. It's a very intriguing matchup to X's and O's wise on the field there in Atlanta. Number 4, Sunday night, the rematch of the opening game from the 2023 NFL season between the Lions and the Chiefs. I've already went through the Lions schedule and talked about it. Are the Lions for real? And for Kansas City, this will be the last game they play before Rashid Rice makes his return to the field. And will that defense respond after a terrible second half, especially Chris Jones? You know he was getting called out on film during the week. I expect him to have a big game, and we'll see if that Lions offensive line has been as good as in years past. At number 3, you know the game, the other Monday night game, the Hail Mary game, Bears, Commanders. Do I need to say no more about this game? It basically drove the Commanders all the way to the NFC Championship game, and it pretty much put Matt Eberflus out of a job in Chicago. This is a revenge spot for Caleb Williams and the Bears potentially. Number 2, a game that coming into the year, I never would have thought would have been on the top 5 games of the week, let alone at number 2. How about Seahawks Jaguars?
I know.
Like Sam Darnold versus Trevor Lawrence. Sam Darnold, the number 3 overall pick in 2018. Lawrence, the number 1 overall pick in 2021. Both getting reclamation projects. And then number 1, can they keep the momentum going off a crazy upset last Thursday night? Could it be Mac Jones? Sounds like it's going to be Mac Jones and not Brock Purdy, with whatever cast of receivers he's got with him. Going down to Tampa, the Bucs always play close games. Will they find a way to win a game by more than 3 points?
San Francisco went into Tampa last season and won that game on a last-second field goal. But just to touch on the Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold stuff again super quick, Josh Rosen has to be somewhere just going,
I thought he was, for the record, I thought he was going to be the boss. I thought he was going to be the one that, so I am right on that. I fought a lot of people on that draft because everybody kept telling me the 2 best quarterbacks in the draft class are Sam Darnold and Josh Rosen. And I said it was going to be Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield. I didn't know Lamar was going to work, but
like the fact that Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold have resurrected their careers to the point where we're considering both of them to be in the great to maybe elite tier is hilarious. We know Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are already there because they've won MVPs and gotten close to reaching the Super Bowl. And then there's Josh Rosen, who's probably bagging groceries somewhere.
You combine the 2018 class with the 2024 class, and that's where we're getting a lot of this influx of youth at quarterback right now.
We could be saying the same thing about the 2021 class, maybe.
No, it's just Lawrence.
Yeah, good point.
Justin Fields is not working. Zach Wilson's not in the league anymore.
And Trey Lance, no.
Trey Lance is a backup, and I believe he's with the Chargers now. He's with the Chargers.
Yes, but Mac Jones is working now in San Francisco. And if you remember, Kyle Shanahan wanted Mac Jones. He didn't want Trey Lance.
Yeah, and I'm telling you right now, spot me the difference between Mac Jones and Brock Purdy, because I can't.
Yeah, but San Francisco is going to have to go back to Brock Purdy because, well, they gave him the massive contract.
All right, go ahead and give us your top 5 games.
Okay. First of all, honorary mention, but not on my top 5. I considered it. Dallas Cowboys at Carolina Panthers. Dak Prescott is very much in the MVP conversation. You and I both thought Dallas would be terrible this season, and yet their defense is trash, but Dak is lighting it up so far this season. And then with Carolina, yeah, will the real Bryce Young please stand up? Good God.
You've been saying that for 3 years, buddy. I think it's time to move off the take.
Because, you win 30-0 against Atlanta. You get blown out by New England. And this past week, you lead your team on a miraculous comeback against the Miami Dolphins. By the way, the commentator in that game was awesome. I think he's the play-by-play guy for the Charlotte Hornets.
He is, which I'm sorry. That's one of the reasons why he was so electric. I can't believe people are missing this.
Yes. I want him to be a regular NFL broadcaster on Fox. If he did the Super Bowl, that would be awesome. Oh, my God. But Cowboys Panthers is an honorary mention, but not on the list. But I felt like it was worth saying anyway. Okay, so we basically have the same games, little bit of a different order though. All right, so number 5, I am going to go. Actually, I have one different game than you because I want to see how does Kyler Murray bounce back, or not just Kyler Murray, all of Arizona after that total debacle.
Yeah, that was my 6th game. I considered it.
Okay. Cardinals, Colts. The Colts are coming off an absolute whooping of the Las Vegas Raiders. Everybody is singing Daniel Jones's praise, and is he in the MVP conversation and all this and that. Meanwhile, Arizona had like I said, absolute meltdown against Tennessee. So it's an interesting contrast of where these two teams are coming from coming into this matchup. Plus, you have Marvin Harrison Jr. playing in Indianapolis, where, of course, his dad made a huge difference for the Colts, Marvin Harrison. So I have that game at number 5. Number 4, I agree with you about Bills-Falcons. Buffalo coming off of that hard-fought Sunday night loss at home in what is most likely going to be their final Sunday night game in their current stadium. And Atlanta coming off their bye. We'll see how Buffalo does going against another lefty quarterback. Number 3, this is actually where I have Lions-Chiefs. So a little bit lower than you do.
Higher.
Okay. But the reason I don't have it number 1 or number 2 is just because I don't fully trust Kansas City right now. Like I said earlier, we thought they had put it together against Baltimore, and then they blow a 14-0 lead against Jacksonville. Maybe the Jaguars are actually legit, but I'm just not sure who the Chiefs are right now. Detroit's been rolling. Granted, like you said, they've beaten Chicago, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Baltimore. Not a great sample size. So because I don't fully trust Kansas City, I'm putting this game at number 3. Number 2, you have at number 1. 49ers, Buccaneers, San Francisco having to travel across the country and south, but they have the slight advantage that they got to play on Thursday night football. So they had the extra rest. Meanwhile, Tampa Bay had to fly back from Seattle and get ready for this game. San Francisco, of course, won this game last year on a last-second field goal. I wish they were showing this game on, I think it's on CBS, if I'm not mistaken.
It is, because Jim and Tony are there.
It got flexed into the 4:30 slot instead of Patriots Saints, which why that game was ever in the 4:30 window is beyond me. But unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to watch it because, well, I don't have the NFL Game Pass or whatever. And then number 1 is, I can't even believe this game is number 1 for me. Sam Darnold against Trevor Lawrence. Oh Lord! But
so you don't have Bears Commanders.
Oh jeez, I'm telling you, I was like scrambling to put this list together. Jesus Christ, I meant to put Bears Commanders on my list.
Which is why I took out Colts Cardinals and moved everything up.
God.
There's good games this weekend. That's the bottom line. But we do got to move on, Josh. I got to let you have a funeral for your Penn State Nifty Lions. Who?
Please fire James Franklin.
Please. Let it out. Let it out. Let it out.
Please. God, he's 4-21 in AP top 10 teams. He's like 1-9 or 1-10 against Ohio State. He's got a losing record against Michigan. And you just lost on the road to 0-4 UCLA? Like, they didn't even have enough students to really storm the freaking field.
And they're on their interim coach.
Yes. I think they just put their offense together like 2 days prior to the game or something. Like,
and they put up over 40 points.
Yes. Ohio, when Penn State plays Ohio State later this season, Ohio State's going to kill them.
Forget it.
Yeah.
Penn State is no longer the top contender in the Big Ten. I picked them to win the national championship. I was wrong. It's like the other team on our topic bar here. I was wrong about. Arch Manning stinks. I think that is the story of this college football season. It's sort of like the NFL. Everything we thought about this guy's going to be great. You know, this Nussmeier for OSU and Arch Manning, and turns out it's the kid from Oklahoma who's hurt right now, and the kid from Oregon,
Dante Moore. And don't forget the Indiana quarterback who was at Cal last year, Mendoza. That's going to be a big-time matchup.
We're going to see how good Indiana is this weekend because I believe they go to Oregon.
Yes, College Game Day is going to be in Eugene this weekend. I think if Texas had won, College Game Day would have been at the Cotton Bowl, but because Texas lost to Florida, they're going to Eugene for Indiana at Oregon.
Well, no, Oregon or Texas has a bye week this week. That game's next week.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
Red River rivalry is this week.
Oh, you're right. October 11th. Sorry, I got my dates messed up. I'm sorry for that.
Red River. Because last year, Oregon hosted Ohio State the same day as the Red River rivalry. Was
that the same day?
Yes, because Kirk Herbstreit had to leave the College Game Day set. They had a camera on him as he drove to the airport, and he made his picks on College Game Day while he was in an airplane flying down.
That's right. That's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, look at this top 25 right now for college football. Ohio State, Miami, Florida, Oregon, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Indiana, and Alabama.
Yeah. By the way, I think I know where College Game Day is going to be next week. Athens, Georgia. Ole Miss at Georgia is going to be a huge showdown.
Is that Georgia's first home game since losing to Bama?
I believe so.
Take Georgia. Free betting advice to all you out there. Take Georgia. They're not losing at home back-to-back weeks.
But in my opinion, like with Texas losing 2 games now, that win doesn't look nearly as impressive for Ohio State.
The Penn State game's not going to look impressive. Like, seriously, who is Ohio State going to play that makes you think, oh, they're a good team? Illinois is not that good. I don't believe that. Now, maybe at Illinois, would you be shocked if Illinois gave him a game? I don't know how to feel.
Brett Bielema, of course, he was the head coach when Wisconsin upset Ohio State at Camp Randall in 2010. If this was a night game, I think that would favor Illinois more. But the fact that it's a 11 a.m. Central kickoff.
Good point.
I think that
yeah, I didn't think about that. They're playing college football on Saturday morning. I did not think about that.
Yeah. Big noon kickoff is going to be there. Whoop-de freaking do.
It is, I don't know. I feel like this year of college football has been very weird. We've had some weeks where it's been an amazing week, and we've had some weeks where they've been complete duds. And I don't know how good any of these teams really are. Yeah. I think Ohio State and Oregon are probably the 2 best teams, I think.
I agree with you about Oregon, but the number 1 team for me are those boys down in South Florida with Carson Beck as their starting quarterback, the Miami Hurricanes. For me, they are the most complete team in college football. They should be ranked number 1 right now.
I'm worried about them, though, when they have to go up against the Big Ten and the SEC because they're an ACC team.
I'd love to see them in the SEC. I think you would get some huge matchups with them against the likes of Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, Oklahoma, Texas. I think eventually the ACC is going to fold and you'll see the likes of Florida State, Miami. Most likely those 2 are going to join the SEC. I could see like North Carolina and North Carolina State and Duke probably joining the Big Ten, and same with Virginia and Virginia Tech.
I agree with you. All right, let's go. What about the MLB playoffs? Because they are in full swing. These playoffs have been fantastic. The Toronto Blue Jays are the first team to clinch the championship series. They just dog walked the New York Yankees in this series.
To quote the great David Ortiz, also known as Big Papi, "Da Yankees lose."
And, listen, I think this is great for the American League. I think Toronto has been one of the best teams in baseball all year. They have the power. They have the starting pitching. And the Yankees are very Aaron Judge dependent. Now, who they play will be very interesting to me because Detroit may have the starting rotation, obviously, with Skubal and Flaherty. But Seattle matches them in power with Kyle Riley, Julio Rodriguez, Josh Naylor, and those guys.
Eugenio Suarez.
Yes. Seattle and Toronto, to me, are basically the same team.
I hope Seattle wins, but going against Skubal for a second time, yes, they're at home. I know we got to him in Game 5 last year. I was at Game 5 when Lane Thomas hit that grand slam. That was one of the craziest environments I've ever been part of. And I know Jorge Polanco hit 2 home runs, off of Skubal, but it is so hard to beat him 2 times.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, though, you know what they say about pitching? Once you get a guy once, it's easier to get him a second time.
Well, that wasn't the case for the Guardians when they faced him a 3rd time in Game 1. in the wild card series.
Yeah,
Google
but the Mariners lineup is a lot different than the Guardians lineup. They actually have real hitters outside of 1 through 4, which the Guardians do not.
That part is true, yes. And also Scooble didn't try to hike the ball through his legs. But over on the
National Leagues, or
yeah.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Over on the National League side, my Cubs fended off elimination, and they're hosting the Brewers again, trying to force a Game 5 back in Milwaukee. I'm not surprised that the Phillies are up 2 games, or I'm sorry, that the Dodgers are up 2-1, because it's the Dodgers, Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts. If it's Dodgers Brewers again in the NLCS, Lord help us, because we know how that's going to go.
I disagree. I think the Brewers will be favored and will win that series. I think the Brewers are the most complete team in baseball. I think they have the best bullpen in baseball, which the Dodgers do not have. The Dodgers bullpen has been leaking oil. Even during that Red Series, they won both games, but they gave up multiple crooked run numbers in the 8th inning in both of those games. It's just their offense was able to overcome it. I think the Brewers have the perfect balance of pitching, hitting, bullpen, starter. They can give you a bullpen game. They can give you a starter game. Like, I know your Cubs are up against it. I think it's going to be really hard to beat that Milwaukee team 4 times in 7 games.
Well, it's the remember, the LDS series.
No, I know, but I'm saying now the Cubs have to win 3 games in a row. I don't think that's possible.
Well,
I don't know
no, they only have to win 2 games in a row.
No, they were down 2-0. So they have to win Game 3, which they did. Now they have to win Game 4, and they have to win Game 5. I don't know if they can do that.
I see what you're saying. Now I get it. My apologies for the misunderstanding there, but I'm more worried about the Phillies than I am the Cubs, because the Cubs and Brewers are very familiar with each other. They're NL Central Division foes. They play each other multiple times.
The Cubs manager used to manage in Milwaukee forever, Craig Counsell.
Yes. So I think, I'm not saying that means the Cubs are for sure going to come back, but I would give the Cubs a better chance because of those factors. Yes, I get it. Milwaukee is a great team. I love Jackson Chourio. He has been fantastic. I fully believe he should at least be an MVP conversation. It will most likely go to Shohei Ohtani, but my personal vote would actually go to Jackson Chourio for what the Brewers have done. On the flip side, for AL MVP, I would give it to Cal Raleigh, because the Mariners haven't won the division in 24 years.
And he's also hit 60 home runs as a catcher.
Yes. And he was playing catcher, correct. So, having to lead the Mariners pitching staff, whether it's the starters with Luis Castillo, or I forget their number 1. Off the top of my head, but Castillo is the first name that comes to. Oh, Logan Gilbert, yep. George Kirby. There we go. And then you have the bullpen arms. So for Cal Raleigh to do all that is highly impressive. But anyway, with the Phillies and Dodgers, I would say the Dodgers should close it out tonight. Mostly because,
for the record, it is 0-0 on the bottom of the 4th inning.
Okay. But I think the Dodgers should close it out, mostly because they have the better lineup. They have Andy Pages, they have Freddie Freeman, Shohei, Mookie. I think they have the better lineup 1 through 9.
It's going to come down to, can the Dodgers hit? Because both these teams have been very lackluster with the bats at certain times in that series. And, the other thing is, my biggest takeaway so far from these MLB playoffs is that we got stars on every team. All of these games are close. It does feel like nobody has separated themselves from the pack. It does feel like anybody at this point can win the World Series. And these series are so intense, they're so invigorating because they're 5 games. They're going, back-to-back days, or there's a travel day. They're taking one day off. It's not like the NBA playoffs that are so drawn out because there's 2 days off in advance or sometimes 3 days off, and they're not playing back-to-back. And series go 7 games. Like, this is what I love about the MLB playoffs. It's urgency. It's fast. It's you make one mistake, it could cost you the whole series.
Yeah. I totally agree with you on that one. If we got like Brewers, Blue Jays in the World Series, that would be a fantastic matchup. Who would have home field advantage? Because they're both the number 1 seed in the NL and
Depends
AL.
on who won more games, which I believe Milwaukee did. I think Milwaukee has the best record in baseball, which they do. They won 97 games. Toronto won 94.
Okay, so Milwaukee would have home field advantage.
Yes, Milwaukee would have home field advantage against everybody. If so, it would go Milwaukee, then it would go Philly, then it would go Toronto. So if Toronto played the Dodgers in the World Series, Toronto would have home field.
Okay. But if Toronto played Philly, Philly would have home field advantage.
Correct.
Okay. So, and it wouldn't matter if Milwaukee, the Phillies, or Dodgers played the Mariners or the Tigers.
They would all have home field.
Okay. And I hate to say it, but I'm not including the Cubs because it's unlikely they'll come back to beat the Brewers. But like I said, I give them a better chance than I do the Phillies.
Well, believe it or not, to end our show today, I wasn't the one that brought up they wanted to preview WWE Crown Jewel 2025. Josh Ungar, the AEW resident fan of our show, has asked to preview this event. So take it away, Josh.
So, by the way, unfortunately, I will not be able to watch AEW Wrestle Dream next Saturday because I will be working the Cleveland Monsters game against the Lehigh Valley Phantoms. But nonetheless, this Saturday, we've got Crown Jewel from Perth, Australia. If you want to watch it, you have to be up early, 8 a.m. Eastern.
Well, you don't have to. You can watch it on demand on the ESPN app.
True. But there's some intriguing matches on this card. I just hate that, we're doing champion versus champion for the stupid Crown Jewel championship. That part is dumb to me. But the actual matches are interesting. Like Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins. That's a really interesting match. And I haven't watched Raw, but I've seen clips. So I've been following the feud. And I like the way they're building this feud. It doesn't, yes, it's champion versus champion on paper, but it doesn't feel like a champion versus champion feud where it's you know what I mean?
Well, the funny thing is, I don't know. I know you said you haven't been watching, but I don't know if you saw on the internet or somewhere the video package they put together for this match. And it's gone back to what I've said for the last 5 years. Even with these two men in the ring, you know what this whole storyline revolves around? The OTC Roman Reigns. Because this dates back all the way to not only WrestleMania 40 when Seth Rollins was Cody Rhodes' Shield against Roman Reigns, but it dates back to Cody Rhodes' decision to team with Roman Reigns 1 year ago at Bad Blood against Solo Sikoa's Temu Bloodline, which Seth Rollins says that is the reason why he can no longer trust Cody Rhodes, because the only reason why he had to team with Cody Rhodes to take out the Bloodline is because he did not need that power. And now that he knows that Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns are quote-unquote friends, he has to eradicate the WWE of Cody Rhodes because he is not fit to be QB1.
And the line that really stuck out to me in this buildup was when Cody said to Seth, in those 3 matches that we had, how many of them did you win?
And the funny thing, Josh, is way back in the day, it was the first few months when I met you. back at the old company we used to work for, Believement Media LLC, you wrote an article that said WWE booked the original Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins feud wrong.
I did.
And yet it has come full circle to the reason why we're having this match is because Cody Rhodes is 3-0 against Seth Rollins.
Yes, it's kind of ironic in that sense. I expect this to be the main event, although if you remember the last time they were in Perth, Australia, the main event was Rhea Ripley against Nia Jax. So because of that, I think there's an argument to be made for that tag team match to be
zero. There's zero argument to be made for that. That match means nothing. It's absolutely to get Rhea Ripley on the card in Australia. That's the only reason why.
I think that's the main argument for why it could be the main event.
No, that's the argument you make for it to open the show.
Okay, fair. Kind of like what they did with Adam Cope
with Cope and Christian in Toronto at All Out.
Yes. But am I invested in that tag team match? Not really.
That's my point. That's why it's not main eventing.
Yeah.
Because I've said this over and over again. You guys can hate me all you want. Io Sky, Asuka, and Kairi Sane are all 3 short women who can't wrestle.
Okay, I disagree with you about Io Sky. The only one I disagree with you about is Io Sky. My fandom for Asuka has fallen off hard, and I've never really been a big fan of Kairi Sane to begin with. The Australian street fight, I think that'll be a really good match. I think Bronson Reed should win that match and get a win over Roman.
So here's where I'm at. Ever since the Vision has started, I predicted them to win almost every time, and they've lost besides the match at WrestlePalooza against the Usos. I don't think it makes sense for Roman to lose unless you're planning to bring Roman back in some surprise return for War Games. Because I think the Roman Reigns Brunson Reed match is not at all about Roman Reigns and Brunson Reed. This match is all about main event Yeet Jey Uso, because whether it's soon, whether it's 6 months from now, whether it's a year from now, whenever it will be, Jey Uso is going to have to make a choice. And there's a very interesting scenario that I think could be happening, which is, does Jey Uso become what he resented? Does Jey Uso become Roman Reigns? And how do we get there, right? Does Roman Reigns become Paul Heyman? Does Roman Reigns take a step back from the in-ring? Does he become the wise man? Does Jimmy Uso become Jey Uso's right-hand man? So I'm excited for this match. I think Brunson Reed and the Vision have done great things, which again is why I think the results of this PLE, besides Cody and Seth, actually don't matter. Because the whole thing that we're looking at here is, when and if are the Vision going to break away from Seth Rollins? And when/if is the Bloodline drama going to pick back up with Roman Reigns and Jey Uso? Though
it certainly feels like it already is.
They spent this past Monday on Raw. They had 2 promo segments, one with Seth and Paul Heyman, and one with Roman and Jey Uso.
Which I thought that was the more interesting one, when Roman said to Jey, like, "Who's cutting a promo at the top of the hour? Is it you?"
Yes.
No, it's CM Punk.
They have those 2 promos to me have 6 months worth of story in them. Which you know what's funny? I want to get your take on this real quick. So I was listening to, I don't know if you've ever listened to Not Sam Wrestling, the podcast with Sam Roberts that he does with Ungar Wrestling. And he mentioned that he believes, and I was thinking about it, and I think it's true, that the John Cena heel turn actually pushed all of these stories back. So remember, going into WrestleMania, we thought Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. Could Randy Orton turn on Cody Rhodes? Could Drew McIntyre get an undisputed championship match against Cody Rhodes? that sort of got pushed to the side for John Cena. And then once John Cena got the championship, everything sort of felt under whack. Well, now Jey Uso chasing the championship, Cody has the championship back. And I think you could make a real case for, all these storylines and potential heel turns of Randy Orton and Jay and maybe Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker turn face. Like all of these things are setting up for 2026. And all 2025 was, which was a weird year for WWE, was it turned out to be weird because nothing really happened, because everything's going to happen next year.
Yeah. You brought up John Cena, and he's facing AJ Styles.
Hashtag beat up John Cena.
Huh?
Hashtag beat up John Cena, the way AJ Styles would say.
Yes. But, I feel the same way about this match that I do with Brock Lesnar. We never got, I get it. John Cena has limited dates left, so I understand it. But, and to a certain degree, you don't really need to build up the match because it's John Cena against AJ Styles, for God's sakes. But I would have liked a promo battle, something. You know what I mean?
I think this story is actually going to lead into the retirement of AJ Styles, not John Cena, because AJ's been on public record saying he's going to retire within the next year. I think by WrestleMania 42. They did the old thing a couple weeks ago where AJ cut this unscripted promo where he said people don't want me here or something during the commercial break on Raw, which led to this match with John Cena, Triple H tweeting out that we listen to the fans. I think it's leading to something for AJ Styles when he eventually loses this match, is how I take it.
It just, for example, Brock Lesnar has his big return at SummerSlam, but then he didn't really do anything after that.
He doesn't need to do anything. He's Brock Lesnar. He can do whatever he wants.
I get it, but we never had a promo or anything of why Brock Lesnar targeted John Cena from the start. And again, I feel the same way with this match, not in the same way, but I would have liked something between John Cena and AJ Styles, some type of interaction, some type of promo battle, something. It just feels empty to me.
Before we go, I do want to say a quick programming note that next week, potentially, we're not going to lock it in stone yet, but we may be doing a 2025 NBA predictions show. So we didn't get a chance to say it all at the top, but I'm very excited for that. Josh, you and I are going to be doing a prediction show very similar to the NFL. We're going to be doing it at some point for the NBA. So we may not get a chance to talk about Crown Jewel. We may not get a chance to talk about NFL or college football stuff, but very excited for the NBA season to begin.
Yes, and the NHL season officially dropped the puck on Tuesday night, and the Columbus Blue Jackets are opening their season tonight at the Nashville Predators, while the Pittsburgh Penguins are hosting the New York Islanders at PPG Paints Arena. I, of course, am a Penguins fan, but I also follow the Blue Jackets as they are the NHL affiliate for the Cleveland Monsters. The Florida Panthers are the back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, but do I think they are going to three-peat this season? No, I do not. I have the Dallas Stars hoisting the Stanley Cup for the first time since 1999. And will they face the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup final? No, they will not. Instead, they will face the Carolina Hurricanes. And I've got the Dallas Stars winning that series in 7 at the American Airlines Center in front of their home fans.
Well, thank you, Josh, for that. There's a lot of sports going on in the sports world this and November, maybe even more than March, certainly debatable, but we are in one of the hottest times of sports for the year. That'll do it for this edition of Championship Rings. Let us know what you think of the new blue background as well. We didn't get a chance to say that off the top. We both think it's pretty aesthetic. But for Josh Ungar, the host of the Sports Room Talk Show, Ungar to the Max, I'm Brandon Lewis, the host of Brandon's World. This has been a jam-packed episode 95 of Championship Rings. We are 5 episodes away from that glorious triple-digit number. And with that, we'll see you guys next week. Peace.
I might do a play-by-play live stream for Browns Steelers on Sunday. I'm thinking about it. Not sure yet. But we shall see. And we will see you next time. A salute to you.